Pizza Sauce and Miller Lite at 201 Tavern and Grill in Anoka this Thursday from 5 to 7. Stop by for drink specials, games, and register for a chance to win a spot in the Vikings Foundation Golf Tournament. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keep your calendar.
Couple 13-14 pastime comedies tend to be excited and delighted to be joined by the legendary one Mark Rosen here in studio.
Good afternoon.
Do the two of you have Star Tribune online?
I do.
Yes.
Can you look at the sports section right now and take a look? Randball's the lead story. There's a photograph included on his, he writes, Minnesota pro sports franchise values are soaring, which isn't really breaking news. I think we all realize that. But do you see the picture that's included on his story?
I got to get
if you have the online
Yeah, the
version.
picture of Ziggy and Mark Dayton.
Yeah. At the groundbreaking where they're, breaking ground for the
Oh, yeah,
stadium.
I see it. Yeah.
So you look at Ziggy and you can see the look on his face. He's going, this is a gold mine.
Right.
Meanwhile, Dayton, the shovel's crooked. He's never done manual labor in his life. He doesn't know how to operate a shovel.
He's a Dayton.
And I just think it's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite pictures since the day I saw it. You can tell Ziggy's going, this is really good. We're going to make a gold mine here. And Mark Dayton has no idea how to. That's the first time he's ever had a shovel in his hand.
Probably.
It's just such a good picture. So
Yeah, it's
it's so good.
They had a lot of arm twisting to get then Governor Dayton to kind of agree to this.
Yeah, it
There was
did,
a lot of behind closed doors, cigar, smoke, whatever, floating in the air to get it done. I mean, there's never been an easy transition for any of the stadiums to get built in town, which is not unusual in this day and age. But I mean, look at the Bears. They couldn't get it done in Chicago or anywhere near in Illinois, so it looks like they're going to northern Indiana. They're rolling out the red carpet for my guy Kevin Warren, et cetera, et cetera. But it's hard to believe the Bears would not be in Chicago. But yeah, it's a very memorable picture. It is. Dayton looks scared. Yeah.
Speaking of making money, I saw this. You're familiar with Eric Escala? The
Of
Scarf
course.
over
Yeah.
I used to
A chance to work with Eric for
long time.
Yeah.
WCCO newscaster.
Political guy. Yeah. Political.
And he still does television show. They do Almanac on Channel 2. But so he provides me, he's like part of my research team. He sends me stories and links and to tweets and such like that. He sent me this one, somebody named Lev Akabas, Akabas. I don't know how accurate this is, but this is what he tweeted out. NFL teams made $13.9 billion from national revenue in 2024, mostly media rights. That's more than the entire NBA, MLB, NHL, and MLS combined, and by a lot, he adds.
Right.
Just goes to show you what a money-making machine. But, if you would have, we know the NFL is king, but if you would have said to me, which is the larger sum, national revenue for the 32 NFL teams or for the NBA, MLB, NHL, MLS combined, I would have thought, well, that's combined. But that's how big the NFL is, one of money-making operations.
It's a cash cow, and it's only getting bigger all the time because of their involvement with European games, and not just the game itself, but the marketing aspect of it. I know the Vikings have one of the teams that have the rights, the marketing rights in London. And, there's always a price for that. But, and you keep hearing they're going to be playing in Australia. So I never imagined way back when the Vikings actually played the first exhibition game in London against the then St. Louis Cardinals, I believe in 1982 at Wembley Stadium, that it would be this big in terms of, and they're going to be playing every single year, pretty much every single week, the way it sounds, especially if they expand to 18 games. So, and I know there's a lot of talk. In fact, I'm trying to pick up this book before I go. It's Chuck Holsterman does a great job. He's a great author. He wrote a book called Football. And apparently, highs and lows at the end of it, he's basically proclaiming that, I believe, is what I've heard. I haven't read the book yet, but I don't have it yet, that football might be, the demise of football is not that far away, because of CTE and that parents aren't allowing, the kids are moving away from playing the game at the youth level because of the dangers involved. And I've heard a lot of stories about that, but I find that, I don't know how many years away, given the fact that you look at the I'm not saying the Sun Belt states, but the southern part of the country in particular, I'm just reading a story about the passing, and this is a real left turn here, but James Vanderbeek, who was a star in a movie called Varsity Blues, unfortunately, sadly passed away at the age of 48. He was a quarterback on that. I was just talking to Corey about Vanderbeek, and of course, he was a big star in this show called Dawson's Creek. But that was one of those football movies that you just go, it's a religious, Friday Night Lights. It's a religious experience. It's never going to change. It's never going to be different. The kids are going to keep playing at the highest level, at that competitive level, especially down south. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think there are a lot of kids who, probably maybe shied away and gone into other sports, but
I don't think there's any question about that. And this isn't anything, his prediction.
No,
because I think it's been trending in that. Now maybe the numbers would prove me wrong, and all of a sudden maybe somebody could say, here are the numbers. There are more people participating in football than ever. But I do know, like in my family, I didn't tell my boys they couldn't play football, but I just said, you really think you want to do that? Can you see how, I tell you, there's concussions, there's head injuries, there's torn knees, ankles. Do you really want to do that? It's up to you. And I think they kind of said, maybe not. Now basketball can still be physical, beat up, playing on hardwood floors for 10 years. And, Deuce played soccer, and that can be. Now, he was mostly goaltender.
Same with my son.
But, they even talk about when you do a header in a soccer game, that can be bad. But, they certainly, my two boys never, as far as I know, ever had any concussions. They never had any ACL tears or any of that stuff, so they stayed relatively with us. And football is the one where, we see it on the NFL level all the time. It's the only sport I know that you look at the injury report all the time. Basketball, I know they have one, but usually it's load management or a sprain here or there.
Correct.
But at football, it's vicious. There's no question.
Well, to try to extrapolate the numbers when we're talking about the youth, and I'm anxious to pick the book up, and I'm hopefully doing it this week. And it's not that he's got the final say in it, but there's been a lot of studies done, as you said, but extrapolating the numbers to say, the kids are dropping out of the game at an earlier age, but how does that translate saying that the NFL is teetering on the verge of non-existence?
Yeah, I think that's
you have the kind of numbers that they just did again for the Super Bowl on Sunday, and the popularity of the sport and the expansion of television rights and playing all over the world. It's hard to imagine that the game is teetering at the moment. But 20 years, 30 years, I guess anything's possible.
Did you? I can't remember. I know you were a baseball player. You played first base.
I did.
Did you play football at all?
No. I was a baseball player.
Yeah, I
grew up playing baseball, and that's the only sport I really cared about. And that our kids, our neighborhood kids, it's all we did.
Yeah, baseball and football were the only two sports.
Yeah.
And then we played a lot of boot hockey.
I played a lot of broomball, yeah.
But, I was a fierce pass rushing, rocket Gibraltar, run-stopping defensive lineman, precise route running, sure, and a pass catching tight end. But once I got to seventh grade and it wasn't, divided by, how much you weighed, 75 or less, you played lightweights. Over that, you played heavyweights.
Sure.
And once I realized that I was just basically third string and my job was to be from fierce pass rushing to precise route running, I was tackling, dummy, and blocking sled for the for the starters.
That's enough.
I said, I'm out. I understand it, but so I didn't play very long either. I stopped after seventh grade. I got out of the football thing. But,
it's always an interesting conversation when we talk with parents and where we are with youth programs and obviously the state of hockey. But I think hockey and basketball. Look at the numbers, just the numbers in this state. I don't mean just the high school. I mean the youth bantams, obviously in hockey and everything else. It just seems like it's never ending in terms of the number of kids that are participating. And now that girls obviously had that same opportunity, the rinks are filled all the time and the basketball courts are filled all the time.
Here's a text message that came in regarding our earlier conversation. It says, "Has Mark Rosen ever had a shovel in his hands?"
Yeah,
have you? Well, have you?
Yes, I've had a shovel.
Not a snow shovel. I'm talking about like a spade for dirt.
Yeah, I had a garden in my house for quite a while, and that was my job to dig up the weeds and water the existing plants. We bought a house that the woman who owned the house decided not to put a traditional lawn in there. She put an exotic garden in there. And I didn't even know. I remember I had Rebecca Coles, who used to be a meteorologist / botanist, I guess you could call her, had her out to the house to basically say, tell me what's going on here. I have no idea what these plants are. But there'd be a lot of weeds that would pop up, and I would have to dig them out and then water and put the dirt in, and I enjoyed that. I didn't mind it at all.
You want to come over and do my house then if you enjoyed it so
I'm
much?
done.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
done.
because I'm a radio gardener, and I
know you are.
don't mind being out in my yard, but I will tell you this, as the years have gone by, it's
man.
getting less and less of an enjoyable task.
So done.
I'm getting to the point where I'm really not that excited to mow the lawn anymore. You know, I mean, it's become more of a chore than more of an enjoyment. But that's okay, too. I'll fix that one of these days. Let's take a break. We'll come back. More with Mark Rosen, Common and Tennessee, but Tennessee has a keyword right now to try to put $1,000 in your hand.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword money at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is money. Enter now at KFAN.com. KFAN welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. Leonard Skinner and Foreigner will be there August 16th, and Motley Crue will be there August 21st. Get the complete details and all our upcoming shows on the concert page at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 pass. I'm Common. He's Tennessee. Mark Rosen is here as well. So, if you'll remember, after the Wild made the trade for the Quinn character, Quinnesota. And I think we went like 5-1, and Vancouver went 5-0. And I was basically saying, well, we blew that trade. What's happening here? And that has changed. I was thinking the same thing when the Olympics started. For the first few days, the United States could barely win a medal. And I'm like, well, what's happened to the United States Olympic team? Well, if this is accurate, I just eye-hopped it. We are now second in the medal race. We're 2 behind Norway.
We're coming.
We had Norway has 13 medals combined. They're 7, 2, and 4, being gold, silver, bronze. We have 11. We're 2. Oh wait, they're doing it by gold. So Italy also has 13, but we have a better collection of medals. We're 4, 5, and 2. They're 4, 2, and 7. So they have 7 bronze, but Norway and Italy combined have more. They have 13 apiece. We have 11. We're in second place as far as the good medals. So we're starting to pick up the pace now.
Well, it's competitive, and I don't know how many people you check out the scoreboard. Of course, you'd like to see the athletes do well, and in the U.S. And understanding that a lot of these sports have been the backbone of, especially Norway's and Sweden's and Finland's, and it's not been cross country skiing or biathlon isn't necessarily in the wheelhouse of U.S. sports, even winter sports. They just it's a different. It's like growing up with a hockey stick here. It's different in European countries where it's much more of an emphasis on some of those sports that get emphasized during the Winter Olympics that the U.S. just doesn't put a lot of effort into, but a lot of training from the youth all the way up.
Well, we may as well start doing that then.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just think I'm watching
Sounds
a little
like
bit last night.
Excuses for that.
I know. I'm just saying that a lot of the sports, I had it on last night for a little while. I remember, the X Games were kind of introduced, and I remember, I think it was when I was in Nagano in '98. I think that was the first year that snowboarding was part of the Olympics, and it was such a unique thing to see. And you got these 16, 17-year-old kids wearing the baggy jeans and doing all their thing, and they're doing these tricks. They don't have a spine. I think they just jump up in the air. And now there was one last night. They're going down. It looked like one of those things you see, if it was in the summertime, you'd see a guy on a skateboard going down some sort of a railing, and then doing a double twist and then hit the ground. And that's kind of the sport it is now on snow. And that's fine. I mean, that's great. You want to expand, you talked about having with a 3-legged rate, whatever, in the Summer Olympics. So it's some of these sports are just gaining steam and more to the party. I mean, the traditional ones with the ski jumping and, we're used to seeing the figure skating, which is yet to come in terms of, the top events, the individual ones. I mean, it's just part of a whole worldwide thing. I just don't feel it's the same angst, and I think a lot of people are just enjoying the competition, which I do. I don't.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not. Like I said, I watched some of it out of curiosity last night. I didn't know what was on. I just have that on in the background, and I'm going, "What the hell is this sport? Some kind of rail thing, whatever." on skis, and it's like you see the athleticism of these young people and go, wow.
Well, I'm not boycotting the Olympics like I'm boycotting halftime shows.
Yeah.
In the NFL 25 years ago.
Right,
You know?
right.
I just haven't. I'm at home and I haven't watched the Olympics yet. It's not that I won't, but I've yet to. Now right now, as you talked about off air, our Toshiba 55-inch regs, the screen's frozen, so there's somebody snowboarding, but I don't know what's happened. Tenebys, is yours frozen as well?
Mine's not frozen, but I might be on a different channel.
Oh, yeah. Well, ours is
might be on NBC.
So anyway, I've watched a little here, but I have not watched any at home. But yeah, I'll dig into it a little bit. Is it a 12 or 14 days for the Olympics?
Yeah, I think a lot of we know in this state in particular with women's hockey, which has been dominant so far, and they'll in all likelihood face Canada in the medal round. They shut them out yesterday without Canada's best player, but the U.S. is trying to catch up. And I think, from a curiosity standpoint, I'd say the men's hockey with a number of Minnesota Wild players on the team, and of course being well represented. Also, Sweden. In fact, they had a goalie today, Tanner, right, from Slovakia.
The Iowa Wild's goalie.
Yeah, Wild. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, who minor league goalie
stunned Finland. And I guess Bill Guerin was next door watching practice, and he heard all about it. They beat Finland 4-1, and the U.S. Yes, they did, and the U.S. starts tomorrow. When I'm the, I think is it tomorrow? I'm on the air with you when they play Slovakia tomorrow.
Men or women?
Men. They have their first game.
Oh.
Tomorrow, and that again, that's going to be a building process, and they get the preliminary round, and then eventually. You hope it's U.S. and Canada for the gold medal. I think that's what everybody's anticipating, and watching the potential power play for Canada with McDavid, Crosby, and who am I missing? McKinnon. I don't know. It's just astonishing to see the firepower that they have. But it sounds like all the guys are having a good time over there, and certainly being in Italy is nothing wrong with that. But I think a hockey event. The hockey games will be a huge draw here.
Well, it's funny because there was a lot of controversy over the USA's last couple choices, right? They left Jason Robertson out, right? They left some higher scoring guys out for guys that, played more role type of hockey. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at Canada reveal what their first power play unit's going to be today.
What was that again?
It's McKinnon and McDavid and Crosby and Makar and Reinhart. And you go, well, that's why Jason Robertson didn't make it, because they need guys who can kill penalties against those guys.
Correct.
Because you're already looking, you can't look ahead to the gold medal match already. But if it goes as it's on paper, like you got to have guys who can kill penalties and try to beat Canada. And
Bill Guerin doesn't necessarily, when you build a roster, you're thinking about guys who can put the puck in the net. You don't necessarily think about, I got to get a guy that can really help kill penalties. But it's kind of an important facet of the game when you're facing the firepower that Canada has potentially when you face them, getting to that point. So, to each their own. I think, we've seen the
By the way, Finland lost to Slovakia today. Italy's already up 1-0 on Sweden. So maybe it's a year of upsets. Who sees?
Well, Italy, they got to be going crazy. Yeah. So, plenty of. It's fun to have it on in the background. If nothing else, it's on for 3 hours a night, and the Olympics will always be a huge draw.
You miss covering the Olympics, don't you?
Not particularly.
No? Oh.
It was a grind. CBS got out of the business after '98 in Nagano, and I had a lot of fun. A lot of long hours. Obviously, the time difference, but the people were sensational in Nagano, and just the friendliest kids, and the hosts that we had, and the media people, and that was really the first introduction to women's hockey that the U.S. had, and we had. We covered all their games extensively with Karen Bai and Alana. I don't know how I remember these names. Alana Blahoski.
I remember her.
I can't remember what's the other name. And we spent a lot of time with them off the ice, on the ice, and eventually won the gold medal over Canada. A very tense game, but that was kind of the point where women's hockey in particular took over the international scene. That first Olympics, but they had a lot of big names there. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, but I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
What time is that United States men's game? What time of the day is that?
I don't remember. It's at 2?
2 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, you know what? We should air it here on the Fan.
And the pregame.
Yeah, I think the pregame as well. I think that's a really good idea.
I think Chad Abbott would love to have that.
I don't see why not. That makes sense to me. It's the Olympics. It's every 4 years.
Be patriotic.
Stop
being a traitor, Abbott.
And we're the state of hockey.
Right.
I say
not happening.
I say we get it done. Let's take a break, come back. One last segment to go with the legendary Mark Rosen, 10 to be in common here on the Fan.
We all had that one teacher who believed in us. Well, show your gratitude with Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Nominate a public school teacher to win $5,000 for their classroom. This week, we want to give a shout-out to Emily Larson, who teaches at Stillwater Area High School. Nominated teacher to thank today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
Kenny, do you think if we told Chad Abbott that airing the United States men's hockey game at 2 o'clock tomorrow was the Power Trips idea, he would do it immediately? I bet he would. Because whatever the Power Trip does. How about Corey Cove talking about all the different trips the Power Trip has been on over the past year? Then we took that cruise, and then we did this, and then we were in Vegas, and then we were in Dublin, and then we were...
That was going to be my joke. The Power Trip was going to convince Abbott that they should go to Italy for the USA game.
That could be it. And you know what? They would do it.
Yeah.
And they would allow the listeners to come along. Of course, you'd have to pay for your own airfare, hotel, and transfers. But other than that, it'd be a great trip to go on.
I think Abbott's hands are actually tied on this one, my understanding with the hockey situation.
Oh, really?
I don't think anyone, he told me I don't think anyone's carrying the game. If this station's, I thought they'd have it on the plus or something. You have to ask him. I don't know.
Why don't we just have Halvey call the game on a monitor?
That would be good.
Yeah.
He's certainly capable of doing
that.
And,
get Parrish in here.
As long as he's not jet lag. Or as long as it's not daylight savings time. That's a while yet, right? Because he's 2 or 3 weeks behind, he claims. Vikings, I guess they're the next move they need to make after they do all the draft stuff is they find a general manager. They don't have a general manager right now. They have an acting GM, I guess, in Rob Brzezinski, but they're going to hire somebody. Are you hearing any name? You're plugged in any names? Do you have any ideas?
I think I'm not saying it's going to be the usual suspects because I think it'll be a name that we probably don't recognize, but probably come in an organization that, someone with a lot of football chops. I mean, I think there's someone with the Seattle organization. There's it's probably half a dozen guys.
Who would that be in Seattle?
I can't remember his name. Not obviously, I think he's part of Schneider's group out there, but they have people in mind that I think the name that I kept hearing, but he's got a year to go, I believe, in his contract. George Payton, who left the Vikings organization and joined Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, and has got a great reputation. Is very familiar with what's going on here. I honestly don't know if they can buy him out. If they really wanted to go get him and be a part of and have that extra responsibility, be the GM, I think it's certainly possible that they could work that out. But I don't know if Denver's going to be real anxious letting him go. He's got a great reputation, and rightfully so.
Maybe it's Trent Kirchner with Seattle. That's a name that I'm hearing.
Is that what your telephone is telling you? I don't know. That might be the name. Yeah, I mean, I think that...
He's vice president of player personnel.
Yeah.
For Seattle. He begins his 5th season, 5 seasons as co-director of player personnel with the Seahawks. That's the name I'm hearing.
Okay. Well,
is that the name you heard?
I don't know if that was the name or not, but probably is if he was with the Seattle organization. I mean, Rob's going to run a tight ship, and he has a lot of hands in the deck and waiting to. And they've actually brought on a person or two to kind of help with the draft situation as well already, but not in the GM capacity. And this is the 1 year when the Vikings have all their draft picks starting with number 18 overall, but a lot of those the big decisions are going to be made in theory before. I mean, after the not just the combine and the start of free agency, what the quarterback situation may end up being beyond obviously J.J. McCarthy. Who's going to make those decisions? KOC will be front and center on all that, and then of course the draft, which is the end of April. It doesn't sound as if the Vikings are going to make that kind of a move until after that, which means probably early May.
Right.
To settle that. But all the heavy lifting will be done by then. I mean, for the most part. Now, you got some players that'll have expiring contracts, I think, June 1st, and with money, and you hear the Kyler Murray situation with Arizona and what's going on with him, and he's been dealing with a lot of different injuries. I in theory, like, oh, that'd be fun to get Kyler Murray, but he's not the same quarterback as he was a few years ago. Now, having said that, we've seen reclamation projects and guys who come back from serious injuries, but that's the type of stuff that we're going to hear about. But all that'll be, and it's going to come like a locomotive out of control here pretty quick, because once we got the Olympics kind of occupy our time right now, but the NFL's never very far out of the news cycle, and it won't be long, and the contracts will be out there, the free agency will be out there, and in particular, that'll be the first litmus test for this Vikings organization. Which way are they going to go with the quarterback, the backup for J.J. McCarthy? When I say backup, I mean meaningful backup, not just the body.
Well, when you say meaningful, I think we talked about this yesterday. Do you think it's going to be a name in which it's like, well, it's a toss-up to see who's going to be the starting quarterback, or do you think they plan it's going to, because that was, from what I understand, for the people I trust tell me that the reason Danny Dimes didn't stay here, even though he had glowing things to say about the organization, was he felt as though they told him straight out, or he just got the vibe that if he stayed with the Vikings, he wasn't going to get a chance to compete for the starting job right out of the gate. It's McCarthy's job to lose. Right. You're going to be the backup. And he was like, well, I want to start. And the Colts gave him more of an idea. It's going to be you're going to get an opportunity to, plus he probably, because the Vikings had drafted this guy as their future quarterback, and that's the reason he left. Do you think that McCarthy's basically the number one quarterback no matter what? I think the narrative is such that McCarthy will start out as the number one quarterback no matter what. And then I think the difference will be the leash will be a lot shorter, I think, in terms of what needs to get done. I mean, you cannot afford to go through another 5-6 games of having that same sort of look. And there's no way, if he is, then he's going to put himself out of this league. And it's not like guys, he's only played, started 10 games. We all know the statistics about it, but the Vikings have, I think, too much emotionally and financially locked in with J.J. McCarthy when you dedicate that kind of time and effort to get a guy like that to say, well, but there's no doubt they're not bringing in the Sam Howells of the world this year. They're definitely going to up that ante. However you want to describe it. If you think that it's going to be the Kirk Cousins type, if you think it's going to be, again, like a Kyler Murray, someone who's got 5, 6, 7 years of experience in the NFL, it ain't going to be. Is Murray for sure gone from the Cardinals?
No,
no,
but he's they owe him a lot of money.
Okay.
And he's also been dealing with, like I said, I don't know what his health situation is as we sit here right now, but he's had, the one thing that Kyler Murray, his strength is his ability to get out of the pocket, and he's elusive, and he's had some injuries that have taken a toll on him. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Well, it's been my contention that it's hard to find 32 quality starting quarterbacks, much less now you start going to backups. If you went for each team's backup right now, how many would you go, I like this guy. I mean, you know what? We can win a bunch of games with him. So my whole point is, who's even out there for the Vikings 100%. To attract? I don't know who that would be, especially if you're trying to think of a guy, I guess, if Kyler Murray there's a couple of names, but as far as like the Tannehills of the world and guys like that.
And then try to pry a Mac Jones is what I'm saying. Where they're saying we're not going to get, Mac Jones would be a name that would make sense, but I don't know. He's not a free agent, right? I mean, you got to give up something, and I don't know the thirst for the Vikings to kind of give up that kind of cachet when you need help at a lot of positions still, and I think they're going to protect those draft picks like gold this year, and they have to hit on them. I mean, that's the one thing we talked about when you look at Seattle the last 2 years. You look at those number 1 and number 2 draft picks. They've all not just played, but played at the highest possible level.
And then, Tennessee, you were to say something?
I was just going to let you know who the free agent quarterback. So you already mentioned Murray and Cousins, though they are not technically free agents. So you'd have to negotiate a trade, or those two would have to get bought out. But in terms of available names, obviously Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers. I'm guessing those two will start somewhere next year. if not in their current locations. Then you have like Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
You can even go as low as like, Malik Willis is expected to actually get paid.
Right.
Gardner Minshew. I mean, those are the names you're probably talking about.
Malik Willis, you say, is expected to get paid by another team.
I think he'll get paid to be a starter somewhere.
Yeah, he's a free agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's an interesting name. I mean, Malik Willis is a perfect example of the type of guy, but again.
Well, in any of those names that he mentioned, if you've got a top 3 defense and a good running game, you could say, well, okay, we can be in the mix. We're not going to be a favorite, but if you don't have a great defense and a great offensive line and a good running game, none of those guys I'd look at and go, we can hop on his back and ride it to a big game.
I don't think there's any other way to say it. I mean, if J.J. McCarthy doesn't pan out, and I mean, in terms of, doesn't have to be an all-pro, but if he doesn't get to the point where he's, in the conversation with Bo Nix and some of these other quarterbacks from that class, this is going to set this franchise back tremendously. And this is the year it has to get done. First year, we know he got hurt, didn't practice, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Last year, they put too much stock in him being able to get out of the gate, and we know what happened. Now it's go time. I mean, it just is. You can't be patient with a franchise type quarterback to wait any longer. I'm not saying he's got to be all pro, but he has to be in that conversation with, the Jaden Daniels and the Bo Nixes, and I'm not saying he's going to be Drake, Drake May, of course. We don't, he's still a work in progress, but I think everyone agrees that May, has got that great upside. But McCarthy's got to put himself in that conversation. If he doesn't, then the Vikings are almost starting all over again. Where do you go from there? You're not going to draft a quarterback. I mean, he's not going to be there. Like
all teams, there's payroll to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. You got to cut money and this and such. And with the Vikings, I don't have all the names in front of me, but I know like a couple of players that are, if you paid them what they have coming according to the letter of their contract, we know that doesn't work that way. After a while, guys getting paid too much. They have them restructure, give them a bonus or even outright cut them. But the guys that come to mind of me isn't Aaron Jones do a lot of money and Hawkinson? Aren't both those guys do a pretty good chunk of change? Yeah. So neither guy is obviously going to get paid what. I think they're both. I think like Jones is due like $24 million, and
see, they're restructure or they're getting cut,
right? And what would be your guess on those? Do you think they're? I mean, because even at a good price, how valuable are Hawkinson and Aaron Jones at this point? Does Jones still have anything left? And Hawkinson's he's okay, but he's certainly not in the top tier of tight ends, I don't believe. So what do you think happens with that?
Aaron is still capable, but he's not a type of guy. When you look at what Walker's done for Seattle, I mean, he's obviously father time's caught up with him. I think in spurts, Aaron Jones can be very effective, but that's an area of concern for the Vikings as well. When you look at you look at the Super Bowl champion all the time, and you go, well, what do they have that we don't have? Well, they have a really good running attack. And they were missing one of their top running backs, Charbonneau, right? He was out with a knee injury.
He got up 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was terrific, and they still won without him. But Jones is capable of still playing some really effective games, but injuries have caught up with him, and he's not a 20 carry a game type of guy. And they're who they bring in. What's his name? The other running back they have,
Jordan Mason.
Good.
He's solid.
Yeah, he's solid. That's an area they need to improve on, 100%. But I don't think you're not going to pay him that kind of money. And Brzezinski is really good at massaging the salary cap and whether they're going to cut Jonathan Allen, and Hargrave will probably be back. Jalen Redmond's definitely going to get paid. I mean, there's a guy that they really liked and deserves that kind of money. They got Grenard coming back, and they got Van Ginkel coming back. They have the crux of that. Cashman. Those guys are all going to be here. I think they're going to have to. I think every mock draft I've seen pretty much so far has the Vikings taking one of the elite cornerbacks at number 18, which makes perfect sense as well. I mean that you can never have enough of those, and we know
they can grab a guy at almost any position would be good, And Tenneville is a proponent, and I think most of us are that if all things being equal, you take the best player available. Yep. So if it, but that means they can probably use someone at almost every position group. When what I find interesting about the whole running back thing is, for the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years, people are saying, Running is as important. It's a passing league, and the running backs aren't as important. And once a guy gets out of that rookie deal, he's not valuable anymore, which can be true because guys do get beat up in the running game. Although I think Walker's coming out of his rookie deal, and this was his fifth year or fourth year. He's got his rookie deal. He's out of that contract. He's going to get paid. But look at how if he was the MVP. Now this was just one game, but he was MVP of the big game. We saw what Saquon Barkley did the year before. We've seen what Derrick Henry does. Detroit with Gibbs, McCaffrey with San Francisco. I think the demise of the running back in the NFL has been greatly exaggerated. I still think it is still a passing league. I get that, but you've got to be able to have a good running game. For sure, the threat of a running game. If you have no real running game, the other team knows, well, yeah, you can do your little play action, but we know you're not giving it to that guy because he's averaging 2.1 yards per carry. Yeah,
I think you look at the elite teams in the NFL, as we saw in the postseason, the Rams have a really good running attack. The Bears have a really good running attack. They developed. The Packers had, a couple guys that, obviously with Jacobs and they have. I wouldn't put the Vikings in that category at all right now. There are moments, and Aaron Jones has those moments, and Jordan Mason has those moments, but they don't have a.
They haven't had a great running back since Peterson. They just haven't. I mean, they've had guys that have contributed, and they've had moments and stretches, but nothing like that.
Take it for granted when you have a talent like Adrian Peterson winning MVPs and doing what he did for this team for so long. You realize that they don't come along very often. So that whether they go free agent route with that, because I don't see them, I don't know who's out there. I haven't broken down. I'm not doing the meat sauce thing, breaking down the draft. I know there's some good running backs out there, but I'd be shocked if the Vikings at 18 took a running back.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that.
Free agency.
It sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth now because I say, I think the running back position is undervalued. I think it is important. But I don't know if I want to spend the 18th pick on that. I mean, when Detroit took Gibbs at 12, people thought they were insane, and that ended up being a good pick. But because defense is so important and your offensive and defensive lines, I know they're boring picks for the average fan, right? You just go, with the 8th pick in the NFL draft, they take Joe Bag of Donuts, offensive tackle from Alabama, and they just go... Really? An offensive tackle? It's not the wide receiver or the running, some exciting player, but I don't know if I
know the Vikings, because they didn't sign Darnold and et cetera, you want to fill in the blanks on it. They spent a lot of money on that offensive line. Unfortunately, Ryan Kelly, career is probably over with the concussion issues that, he was going to be the starting center. They signed Fries, and now they got to really hope that Christian Darrisaw is coming back at full strength is motivated and locked in with the money he's making and anchors that offensive line again from the left side. O'Neill's already set. So
I don't know.
Donovan Jackson had a good rookie year.
I don't talk to Darrisaw. I never have, and I probably never will. But my guess is he was. This is just a guess on my part because I think some of it was he pulled himself out of games, and he was the one that was being very careful because he would, because I think he even said on a couple occasions, sometimes it just doesn't feel right. And if I'm a player in his position where you got a big contract and you're still really early in your career, I think you want to be careful. And I think this. Even though the Vikings, the season didn't end how they wanted to, and maybe part of that was because Darrisaw didn't play all the time, how much better they could have been if he played 17 games. I don't know. Did they win a couple extra games? We'll never know. But maybe this is almost, it's almost that, the injury was the best thing to happen to him. And I'm not suggesting that, but I'm suggesting making sure that if he plays last year and it's not 100%, you sometimes open yourself up to another injury or aggravating that one. Now, maybe I would think with a full off season, and then getting back, maybe he'll come back 100%. You have to hope he has come back 100% ready to play.
I don't know who his agent is, but I guarantee you there were conversations to be had about, listen, you got to protect your career too a little bit. And as much as maybe you want to come back, you got how many good years left ahead of you. And there's no reason to jeopardize it. When you're a big man like Christian Darrisaw and you're coming back from that ACL, it's really hard to find that anchor to push off and continue to do it at that high of a level. And you're right. I think this offseason is a huge one for him because he's still got a lot of money on the table. at this point of his career that he could make and potentially be a big part of it.
Right.
I think he wants to win. He wants to be a part of it. He's always been a pretty upfront guy about all that, but that's a key part of, not having to worry about that position would take a load off of KOC's mind, that's for sure.
The late, great Dark Star once said, the more money you spend on clothes, the better you look.
Right.
The more money you spend on your offensive line, the better your quarterback looks. Right? I mean, that's just
no
the
doubt
truth.
about that.
If you give a guy to throw, you can play with quarterbacks that aren't considered the elite. But that's that's what Philly did. Let's face it. The stories are out there. If you follow the league, there are endless stories about Howie Roseman and how all he does is draft offensive linemen and defensive linemen year after. Even if they have a starting front line that's solid, you're getting the next one because you need depth, and you never know when the guy you have there has the season-ending knee injury and you need somebody in. And so that's why a guy like Jalen Hurts is, he's got a ton of talent, but when people start ranking their quarterbacks, it's always Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and
Lamar.
And then after that's the next group, and usually that next group includes Hurts. But Hurts also has he's got.
You even mentioned Stafford. I know.
Yeah, he's got a Super Bowl championship.
Right.
And it's because, due in large part because he's talented, but he's also got an offensive line that allows him to do a lot of the things well.
I mean, you got one shot at your number one draft pick, and it's not like you get three of them in a row. You better hit on it, and that's where the Vikings unfortunately have fallen short in many cases.
Not this year. We're going to get a gem. Last time the Vikings picked 18, who did they get?
Randy Moss.
You are correct, me boy. 18's a lucky number.
I remember that day.
I know you do.
And Randy was not happy that Dallas Cowboys passed on him. Denny Green was very happy.
Well, and I think here, I don't remember exactly, but I think media and fans were not overjoyed because I don't think anybody knew for sure how good Randy Moss could be.
Well, plus he had the off the field stuff, and
so Denny took
a chance on him.
Denny did, and it sure worked out.
Yeah, he sure did.
Today's Wednesday. You'll be back tomorrow 2:00.
I will 2:00 tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see.
Tuesday.
Yeah, because we're done with spread swings. No more of that. That's over. Who did end up winning? Do we know? Did you look, Tenemy, or?
I'd have to look back. I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. We always do. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Stick around. Big Ticket JG there next year in the Fan.
Good night. Good morning. Good afternoon. And good night, Minnesota.
Good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.